Have you ever found yourself wondering why something that once brought comfort and release now feels oddly rushed, less satisfying, or even a little disconnected? You're not alone. As we grow older, our bodies change, but the habits we carry often don't. And that quiet gap between what we need and what we do can slowly chip away at our confidence, our pleasure, and even our sense of connection with ourselves. I'm Dr. Alan Whitmore, a board-certified urologist specializing in men's health. After decades of listening to my patients, there's one truth I've learned. Many men over 60 are unknowingly repeating the same silent mistakes when it comes to self-pleasure. Not because they've done anything wrong, but because no one ever told them the rules change with time. In this video, we'll gently uncover the 7 most common habits that might be holding you back and explore new, more compassionate ways to support your body and your well-being. Trust me, some of these may surprise you. One in particular, mistake number 4, is something nearly every man overlooks, yet it holds the potential to transform how you feel both physically and emotionally. So take a breath, settle in, and stay with me. What you learned today could bring back more than just sensation. It could restore a sense of wholeness you didn't realize you'd been missing. Mistake 1, believing the semen retention myth. There's a belief that's been quietly passed around for decades, online forums, whispered advice, even some self-help circles, that older men should retain their semen to preserve energy, sharpen focus, or somehow awaken some hidden strength. On the surface, it might sound wise, even noble. But let's take a deeper look with compassion, with honesty, and with care for the body you live in every day. Imagine a man named Leonard, 74 years old, proud of his discipline, still full of curiosity about life. One year, he decided to stop releasing entirely. He'd read somewhere that semen retention could make him feel younger, more powerful. But instead of feeling energized, Leonard found himself more irritable, tense, even a little disconnected from his own body. What he thought would restore vitality, in fact, began to weigh on him, emotionally, physically, even spiritually. You see, your body was designed for rhythm, not repression. Just like we breathe in and out, eat when we're hungry, sleep when we're tired, our sexual energy too follows a natural ebb and flow. Suppressing that for long periods, especially in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, doesn't make you stronger. It can lead to discomfort, pelvic congestion, irritability, mood changes, and even a higher risk of prostate problems, something doctors see more often than you'd expect. Medical experts agree moderate healthy release, whether through intimacy or mindful self-exploration, is good for your health. It helps regulate hormones, improve mood support, prostate function, and even enhance sleep. It isn't about indulgence, it's about balance, about honoring the needs of a body that has carried you through decades of life change, loss, and joy. The myth of retention promises a kind of control, but the truth is, real strength lies in self-understanding, not denial. It's in listening to your body's signals, not silencing them. Masturbation isn't a weakness or a secret to be ashamed of. When done with self-respect and mindfulness, it's a form of maintenance, just like stretching your joints or doing deep breathing for your lungs. Let's stop treating this topic like a taboo. You deserve to feel whole, connected, and unashamed. And if you've been holding on to this old belief that control equals power, ask yourself gently, is it still serving you? Or is it time to release that weight and make space for ease, for truth, for joy? You are not broken. You are not less of a man for needing release. In fact, understanding this part of yourself may be the beginning of a more peaceful, energized, and balanced chapter of your life. And if you think this might be the only mistake holding you back, stay with me, because the next one, it's even more common and even more silently damaging. Mistake 2, using the same grip and technique every time. As we grow older, there's a comfort in routine. The way we wake up, the way we brew our coffee, even the quiet rituals we keep to ourselves, like how we experience pleasure. For many men over 60, masturbation becomes a familiar rhythm, something they've done the same way for years or even decades. And while there's nothing wrong with comfort, there's a hidden cost to repetition that few talk about: the slow, quiet dulling of sensation. Over time, using the same grip, the same motion, and the same kind of pressure can condition the body to respond only to that very specific pattern. It's like walking the same path every day. Eventually, the scenery stops feeling alive. Your nervous system is incredibly intelligent. It adapts, which means when it receives identical stimulation day in and day out, it begins to narrow its responsiveness. You might find that climax takes longer, or that it's harder to feel engaged or aroused even when your heart longs for intimacy. Some men begin to wonder, what's wrong with me? But often the answer is simple: your body isn't failing. It's just been doing the same thing for too long, and it's quietly asking for change. Imagine a man named Harold, 68, who once told his doctor he felt disconnected from pleasure even when he was alone. After some gentle conversation, he realized he'd never once tried anything different, not since his 30s. With encouragement, Harold began small. He varied his rhythm, softened his grip, even used his non-dominant hand. Within weeks, he found a new spark, not because he was chasing something new, but because he was finally paying attention to his body's changing language. The solution isn't complicated. You don't need to abandon what works. You simply need to expand the way you experience it. Try switching hands, adjusting the speed or pressure, exploring circular motions instead of linear ones, or using safe, age-appropriate tools that bring new textures and temperatures. These aren't novelties. They're invitations to reawaken your senses and reconnect with the parts of yourself that still crave discovery. Think of it like this: just as your muscles grow stronger and more responsive, when you introduce variety in exercise, your capacity for pleasure grows. When you introduce new thoughtful patterns, it's not about youth, it's about curiosity. It's not about performance, it's about presence. At this stage of life, pleasure is less about urgency and more about depth, and depth comes when you allow yourself to listen, adjust, and explore. There is nothing shameful in desiring more. There is nothing wrong with wanting to feel deeply connected to your body again. In fact, giving yourself that permission may be one of the most dignified, courageous things you do. Because this journey isn't just about stimulation, it's about self-respect, awareness, and joy. And once you reconnect with that sense of gentle exploration, you may find something surprising. Your body hasn't given up on you. It's been waiting for you to meet it where it is now. But there's one more mistake, one so common, so often overlooked, that it robs many older men of true satisfaction. And the worst part, most don't even realize they're doing it. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 3, rushing through the experience. In our younger years, many of us learned to keep things quick, out of necessity, out of secrecy, sometimes even out of fear. Maybe it was a shared house, a tight schedule, or just the urgency of youth. But as time passes and the world around us grows quieter, that old hurried rhythm can linger long after the need for it has disappeared. And for men over 60, this ingrained pace can quietly steal something precious, the fullness of pleasure that your body is still entirely capable of offering. Take Gerald, 72, a retired mailman who once said, "I didn't even realize I was rushing until I finally slowed down one day. It was like I had been skimming across the surface for decades," and he's not alone. When pleasure becomes something we get through rather than something we savor, it stops being nourishment and becomes just another task. The mind detaches. The body responds out of habit, not joy. You cross the finish line but miss the journey. The truth is, as we age, we don't need more urgency. We need more depth. Rushing robs you of the gradual buildup of arousal, the quiet signals your body sends, the subtle joy that comes not just from release but from presence. The kind of fulfillment that comes when you're fully in the moment, not distracted or rushing ahead. When the act becomes mechanical, the soul doesn't show up, and afterward that emptiness can feel more noticeable with each passing year. But something remarkable happens when you choose to slow down. It's like lighting a fire gently instead of striking a match and letting it burn out fast. With deep breathing, softer hands, and an unhurried mind, you give your nervous system a chance to come alive again. You start to feel the weight of each breath, the richness of each sensation, the quiet intimacy of being in touch with your own body without shame, without performance, without pressure. Pleasure, after all, is not about speed. It's about awareness. It's about honoring the fact that this body, this magnificent, aging, ever-changing body, still has wisdom to offer, still knows how to feel, still longs to be listened to. When you stop racing toward the end, you give yourself the gift of rediscovery. You realize you haven't lost your desire, you just haven't given it room to breathe. This shift isn't about taking longer for the sake of it. It's about choosing depth over habit, meaning over motion. It's about remembering that every part of you deserves attention, care, and connection, not just the destination, but the entire path that leads there. Because when you treat this time as sacred, not secretive, something powerful awakens. A sense of peace, of vitality, of being wholly present in your own skin. But even if you learn to slow down, to breathe, to listen, there's one more mistake that could still be holding you back, and most men overlook it completely. You might be doing everything else right, but if you're focused only on one part of your body, you're missing an entire world of sensation waiting just beyond. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 4. Ignoring the rest of your body. For decades, many men have been taught, directly or subtly, that pleasure is meant to be simple, fast, and focused. And in that conditioning, a quiet habit forms, directing all attention to one small part of the body over and over again. But your body, especially after 60, holds far more potential than that. You're not just a single source of sensation, you're a full landscape of experience waiting to be noticed again. Robert, a 69-year-old retired woodworker, once shared that for most of his life, he never even considered touching anywhere beyond what felt necessary. It wasn't until he began exploring a new kind of mindfulness practice that he realized he had been leaving so much untouched, literally and emotionally. It was like discovering a room in my own house that I never stepped into, he said, and what he found there changed everything. As we age, our bodies crave more than just contact, they crave connection. The skin on your chest, your lower abdomen, your inner thighs, even your neck and shoulders still responds beautifully to warmth, pressure, rhythm, and intention. These aren't just bonus spots, they're integral parts of a system designed to offer not just physical satisfaction, but emotional presence. When you allow yourself to explore beyond the familiar, you open doors to feelings you may not have touched in years. Aliveness, surprise, even tenderness. Something as simple as running your fingertips along your side or massaging your shoulders can awaken a softness, a depth that's been waiting for your attention. Temperature play, a warm hand, a cool cloth, can reignite sensitivity. And gentle pressure in often ignored areas like the perineum can add a profound richness to your experience. These aren't extra touches, they're parts of a full symphony you've been conducting with just one instrument. And here's the beautiful part, this isn't about being someone else. It's not about performance or novelty, it's about coming home to the body you already live in, but perhaps haven't fully known. It's about honoring the gift of sensation that aging doesn't take away. It just asks you to approach more slowly, more attentively, and with more heart. Touching your whole body doesn't make the experience less masculine or more complicated. It makes it yours, fully yours. It deepens the pleasure, enriches your sense of satisfaction, and reminds you that you are more than a habit. You are a living, breathing, feeling man. And when you approach yourself with that kind of curiosity and respect, everything begins to feel different, more alive, more complete, more whole. But even when you begin expanding your awareness, one simple detail can still quietly dull the experience. Something so small, yet essential for comfort, sensitivity, and care. And most men overlook it completely. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 5. Avoiding lubrication. For many older men, especially those in their 60s and beyond, self-pleasure has become something familiar. So familiar, in fact, that habits rarely change. But just because something has worked for years doesn't mean it still serves your body the way it used to. And one of the most overlooked yet powerful shifts you can make is as simple as this: don't skip the lubricant. Michael, a 71-year-old former paramedic, once told his doctor he felt less sensitive than he used to. "I thought it was just age," he said, "but no one ever told me my skin might need more help." And he's not alone. As we grow older, our skin naturally becomes thinner, drier, and more sensitive. What once felt smooth and easy might now feel a little rougher, a little more effortful, even if we don't always admit it out loud. But the truth is, avoiding lubrication isn't harmless. Over time, dry friction can lead to irritation, tiny tears in the skin, and a slow, quiet decrease in pleasure that doesn't have to happen. Using a good quality lubricant isn't just about comfort, it's about honoring your evolving body. It creates a gentler, smoother experience that reduces the strain on your skin, your joints, and your nerves. It mimics the warmth and fluidity of partnered intimacy, and for many men reawakens sensation that may have gone quiet over the years. Pleasure becomes softer, longer, lasting, more immersive. You may even notice you breathe differently, think differently, feel more connected to the experience, because when your body feels safe and cared for, it responds more openly. And for those who deal with arthritis or reduced hand strength, lubrication isn't just helpful, it's empowering. It reduces effort, eases movement, and allows you to enjoy your body without pushing through discomfort. That's not indulgence, that's self-respect. Still, many men hesitate. They see lubrication as unnecessary, maybe even as a sign of weakness. But here's a thought: you wouldn't hesitate to put on reading glasses to see more clearly or wear better shoes to support your knees. Why should your pleasure be any different? Lubricant isn't a crutch, it's a tool. One that says, I care about how I feel. I care enough to make this moment good. Using lubrication is not about becoming someone else. It's about staying in touch with who you are, gently, confidently, and with care. It's a small act that says, my comfort matters. My experience matters. My body still deserves tenderness. So whether you're curious for the first time or simply ready to take one quiet step toward deeper comfort, consider this your invitation. Explore a new sensation. Let your body exhale. Give yourself permission to feel more ease, more pleasure, more presence. But even with all the right tools in place, even when your body's ready, there's something else that can still get in the way. And it doesn't live in the skin or the hands. It lives in the mind. A quiet voice that questions whether you deserve this pleasure at all. Let's talk about that next. Mistake 6. Feeling shame or guilt about the act. For many men in their 60s, 70s, and beyond, the quiet discomfort surrounding self-pleasure didn't just appear overnight. It was planted long ago. Maybe it came from a strict upbringing, religious messages, or a culture that spoke in whispers when it came to anything sexual. The result, a deep-rooted sense that masturbation was something to hide, something to rush through, or something to feel embarrassed about. Even now, with years of life experience and wisdom under your belt, those old echoes can still linger. You might know in your heart that there's nothing wrong with taking time for yourself, yet still find that flicker of guilt creeping in when the moment is over. That guilt doesn't just affect your mood, it affects how you show up in your body. It shapes how relaxed you feel, how much you allow yourself to enjoy the experience, and even how you view your own masculinity and worth. But here's something to hold on to: there is no shame in honoring your needs. No guilt in seeking comfort, connection, or relief. In fact, when approached with care and presence, masturbation can become one of the most grounding, affirming things you can do for yourself. Let me tell you about Bernard, 68, a retired piano teacher who carried a sense of shame around self-pleasure for most of his life. It always felt like something I had to sneak past myself, he said. But one evening, after a conversation with a therapist, he tried something different. He lit a candle, took his time, and approached the moment not with urgency, but with kindness. It felt like I was finally giving myself permission to just be, he said. And that permission changed everything. Science backs up what Bernard discovered: regular mindful self-pleasure in older adults is associated with better sleep, improved mood, lower anxiety, and stronger self-confidence. But here's the key: those benefits only bloom when you allow them in. And that begins by asking yourself, who gave me the idea that this was something to hide? Was that belief truly mine, or was it passed down from someone else? Once you start pulling on that thread, the whole shame story begins to unravel. You are not too old for pleasure. You're not wrong for still having desire. In fact, your continued curiosity, your capacity for intimacy with yourself is something to be proud of. It's a sign of emotional maturity, not weakness. And far from being indulgent, it's an act of self-care, just like taking a walk, eating well, or sitting quietly with your thoughts. When you approach it with respect and intention, you begin to reclaim a part of yourself that may have been quiet for far too long. Let go of secrecy. Let go of shame. What you're doing is not something to feel bad about. It's a way of caring for a body and soul that have carried you through so much. You deserve peace in this part of your life too. But emotional freedom, as powerful as it is, isn't the final step. There's one last mistake many older men never think to address. One that holds the potential to transform everything once you discover it. Let's explore that next. Mistake 7, ignoring tools and enhancements. There's a quiet kind of pride many older men carry, the belief that they should be able to do things the way they always have. That includes how they relate to their bodies and to pleasure. But as the years go by, changes in sensitivity, hand strength, or stamina aren't signs of weakness, they're signs that the body's evolving. And just like you'd adjust your eyeglasses or switch to shoes, with more support, your approach to self-pleasure deserves that same respect and care. Take Arthur, 70, a retired mechanic. For years, he relied on routine and familiarity, never once thinking that tools could enhance his experience. "I thought they were for younger guys or for people who couldn't manage," he admitted. But after a friend gently suggested trying a soft silicone sleeve, Arthur decided to give it a try. What he discovered wasn't just ease, it was a return of sensation he hadn't felt in years. It wasn't about the device, he said. It was about feeling like I mattered again. The reality is today's tools are designed with thoughtfulness and respect. They're made for men just like you, men who still want connection, still crave sensation, but who also want more comfort, more support, and more ease. There are ergonomic designs that relieve pressure on stiff joints, soft touch materials that mimic the warmth and subtlety of real skin, gentle vibrational massagers that stimulate forgotten nerve endings and open new doors to pleasure. These aren't gimmicks, they're gateways. And they're not about replacing your hands or your masculinity. They're about enhancing the care you give yourself. Using tools isn't an admission of decline. It's a celebration of wisdom. It's saying, I know what I need now, and I'm willing to give it to myself. The same way you wouldn't hesitate to upgrade your mattress for better sleep or add a walking cane when your knees start aching, these enhancements are just another form of self-respect. When you embrace support that aligns with where your body is now, not where it used to be, you begin to experience something deeper. Not just more pleasure, but more presence, less strain, more ease, and perhaps most importantly, a rekindling of the curiosity and vitality that age never truly takes away. It only asks us to approach differently. And when you begin combining physical tools with a new mindset, a mindset rooted in self-compassion rather than old shame or outdated expectations, something remarkable starts to happen. You're not chasing a quick release. You're creating connection. You're not just stimulating, you're caring, listening, honoring. You're not trying to be who you were decades ago. You're embracing who you are today, fully, kindly, and without apology. This chapter of life doesn't mean closing doors. It means opening new ones with more wisdom, more choice, and more freedom. You're not too old for discovery. You're right on time. And it begins quietly and powerfully with how you treat yourself, especially in the moments when no one else is watching. Conclusion: reclaiming pleasure, confidence, and self-respect. Growing older doesn't mean losing touch with desire. In fact, it's an invitation to experience it more deeply, with gentleness, clarity, and wisdom. Your 60s, 70s, and beyond are not an ending to your sexuality. They are the beginning of a richer, more honest relationship with your body and your pleasure. We've uncovered 7 common habits that quietly drain joy and connection, from clinging to old myths to ignoring your body's evolving needs. These aren't just small oversights, they're echoes of a past that no longer serves you. And now you have the power to choose differently, to slow down, to listen, to honor what you feel without shame or apology. Self-pleasure done mindfully is not indulgence. It is care. It is grounding. It is a quiet form of intimacy that restores not just sensation, but dignity. When you treat your body with kindness, your confidence grows. Not because you've proven anything, but because you've remembered who you are. So if something in this video spoke to you, if you felt even a flicker of recognition, let that be your signal. Comment "still growing" below, and let this be your moment to begin again. And if this message resonated, consider subscribing to stay connected. More videos are coming, videos that speak to your strength, your resilience, and your journey. Remember this: it's never too late to reclaim joy. Never too late to feel connected, alive, and whole. You haven't lost your prime. You've simply stepped into a deeper one. Let this be the start of something beautiful. You deserve it.